Yeah, so China has been very concerned about children's addiction to video games for a while now. And then the concern over this whole phenomenon reached a boiling point maybe earlier this year when President Xi Jinping in March mentioned that this has to be addressed as a problem, right? So we see this whole thing play out throughout the past couple of months where state media article first called video games spiritual opium, and then that sort of set off a lot of panic selling in the markets. And now I think that the markets think that this is like the other shoe dropping, where the new restrictions of 3 hours a week only on weekends, as the new restrictions is the sort of like the end result of this whole round of crackdown.
Yeah. Can they enforce it, or are there ways around it?
Yeah, so there are many ways that kids can sort of circumvent this whole anti-addiction features, and it is also one of the challenges facing regulators, right? Is how to enforce it, like you just said. So because it's based on the real name registration system, which is tied with the government's database with every citizen's ID. So when you log into the game, you will have to have an account that register with your ID, or else you wouldn't be able to log in the game. And the way to bypass that, there are many ways, right? So like some of the traditional ways is actually just borrow your parents' account or like adults' accounts to play these games. And there are also other ways where now we're seeing maybe this whole restriction driving gamers to unlicensed foreign games where there are no such restrictions. And to access these games, you can have like gaming VPNs or other circumvention tools that are sort of booming as a industry.
So then what is the broader impact on gaming in China? Of course, gaming around the globe has just got bigger and bigger, and China was a big part of that. Will it impact investors?
Yeah, I think in the short term, before this whole new restrictions came in, now investors were sort of angsty, right? They didn't know what to expect. That's why instead of a whole panic selling, wiping off a lot of value in stocks. But then, if you actually look at the market today, Tencent turned positive. So they saw that this is actually maybe the end of this whole storm. And like you said, China and rest of the world is seeing gaming becoming more and more mainstream. And then I think the regulators are fully aware of the power of games. That's why they have been increasingly talking of using games to sort of export Chinese culture. And then they know full well that the likes of Tencent, NetEase, these top technology companies are very successful and effective gaming companies now, and then they can be playing a big role internationally for China to tell a good story through video games.
And that's an interesting point because, of course, the leadership says it's about the addiction to games and gaming. But are they concerned that children will get greater access to different ideas that don't fall into line with what Xi Jinping believes?
I think that there is a tightening in terms of what children, especially kids, can consume, right? So and the Chinese governments have been putting out different measures to try to shepherd gaming companies to create games that are within the constraints that they deem appropriate, right? So there are many games. So in China, certain elements such as superstition or like skeleton or like gun violence and all these things are not allowed. So increasingly, we will see that the regulators will try to shepherd these companies into creating games that they consider
They can
what they call would
control.
have higher purpose for video games.
Yeah. How do people feel about the sort of increasing interference in their lives and their choices?
I think that right now most companies are actually just pleased that this may be coming to an end, and they are happy to like comply. As for individual consumers, they know that these are the constraints that they have to work with, and then a lot of them are very smart, in utilizing the sort of circumvention tools I just talked about to bypass, these restrictions that may seem very harsh.
Really interesting one, Josh. Lovely to talk to you. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.